Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Power Rangers Season 1. Episode 26 of my show, but this is about episode 29. Now before I start talking about it, I just want to mention this very quickly. This episode is going to carry over from where the first part of the Island of Illusion 2-part episode left off. So, because this episode I'm talking about is about episode 29 of Season 1 of Power Rangers. I just wanted to get that out of the way before I actually started the video there. I felt it was relevant. Anyway, now getting into the actual episode, but before I actually do, I just want to let you guys know that after this video we'll be at the 30 segment, so we'll be at the third way mark after this video, so I'm going to probably put that in the description for the next video, because that's a video for another time. Oh, and also, I just want to mention this also very quickly, before I actually get started. I am definitely going to be doing, cause the Power Rangers stuff is it's a long series. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing like short series for not for the Power Rangers stuff, but for like any series that has only like 2 seasons in it. I'm going to do as not as a major project, but more as a side thing. I just figured I'd get that out of the way, and I'll do that at intervals with the Power Rangers series, so I just thought I'd get that out of the way before I actually started talking about it. Anyway, this is History of Power Rangers Season 1, Episode 26. Episode 20. Episode 26. Episode 26 of my show, but this is about episode 29. And episode 29 in the original Power Rangers series is known as Island of Illusion Part 2. Now, as I stated, this episode is mostly it's going to carry over from where the previous video left off. So basically what happens is the Rangers are still on the island, and Kimberly's telling Zach that he's fading, and then Jason is trying to tell Zach that don't let Rita beat him and fight it. And Zach says that he doesn't know if he can. And then basically what happens after that is, then it goes into a scene where Rita is on the island, and it goes into a scene where Rita is in her palace, and she's telling Goldar that it seems like, she said that her plan's working just as she'd hoped. Zach has lost his confidence in his friends and is fading away. So basically what happens is, Goldar then said that he shall proceed with phase 2 of the plan. And then basically what happens is, Rita said that's excellent, and she said that that's how an evil plan is supposed to work. And then it goes back to where the Rangers are on the Island of Illusion, and then Billy says that, in a scientific sense, Billy says that Zach's molecular integrity is fluctuating at an adverse rate to your low self-esteem. And then they're wondering what he means by that. And then Trini basically says that the more Zach doubts himself, basically what Billy's saying is the more that Zach doubts himself, the less of him there is. And then basically they're wondering about that Jason's wondering about the little munchkin man that they saw. And then Jason said that he knew Rita's plan, and then he wonders, he tries to say what his name is, like he says Quincy, and then Kimberly says Quasimodo, which is kind of a Disney reference. I'm sorry, I just had to get that out of the way. Anyway, then one of them says the name Quagmire, and then Quagmire appears in a puff of smoke, and he talks in a rhyme like he says, "Speak my name and I appear. Now why did you call Quagmire here?" And then Kimberly says that it's a friend Zach, Rita's making him disappear. And then after he finds that out, he's like, because if you guys remember, he's like first, because in the first episode, the first part of this two-part episode I talked about, which was my previous video, when Kimberly mentioned Rita, Quagmire basically freaked out and he disappeared on them because he thought that they worked. I'm guessing it's because he thought that they worked for Rita at that point in time when they were sent to the island. But after he finds out that they don't, he's like, "You're no friend of Rita's? Well then Quagmire is glad to greet yous." And then he tells Zach in a rhyme that to keep from getting caught, think a positive thought. Oh, and about the positive thought thing, I just want to mention this before I actually continue talking about the actual episode. A lot of the things that happen in this episode until they get off the island are gonna be flashbacks of previous episodes, like previous videos that I did for previous episodes that I talked about. So I just thought I'd get that out of the way. I didn't mention that when I did part 1 because part 1 that didn't happen at all in part 1, but I just figured I'd mention it now because a lot of what's going to happen in this episode is there's going to be flashbacks to episodes before this point. I just thought I'd get that out of the way. And then basically, like, now getting back into it, after, I'm going to have to take a few steps back here. Anyway, after Quagmire finds out that the Rangers are not a friend of Rita's, he's like, "You're no friend of Rita's? Well then Quagmire is glad to greet yous." And then he says that in another sentence, in a rhyme sentence, he says, "To keep from getting caught, think a positive thought." And Tommy wonders if this guy is for real, and then Billy basically said that if lack of self-esteem is the overlying factor, it just might work. And then basically what happens after that is Zach saying that he's got to think positive, and then it does a flashback to episode 10 where Zach fought the nasty night monster that Rita used on Tarmac 3, and then but before the flashback actually starts, he said that he's remembering a tough fight. And then he starts reappearing and stuff. And then basically what happens is Jason and the others are they're and kind of encouraging him that Jason said that it's working because Zach's coming back. And then basically what happens after that is, he said that he didn't think he could win, and then it does this thinking, talking scene where he says, that nasty night was tough, but he hung in there and he beat him, and then he stops disappearing and comes back to normal, and then he's thanking Quagmire for the pep talk, and then what happens is, after he's thanking Quagmire for the pep talk, Quagmire says in a sort of a limerick, like a rhyme, he's like, "My pleasure and welcome back, but the key was right there inside you, Zach." And then Zach says that, well, maybe, but they're still stuck here. Look, he's kind of positive, but he's also being a little down because they're still stuck on Rita's island of illusion. And then, after Zach escapes her illusion, Rita says that, "So, Zach escaped, eh? Well, the other Rangers won't be so fortunate." Like, she's saying that, well, what happens is, I'm gonna just backtrack here. When it went into the scene where she was talking on the moon with her minions, she said that basically it's working just as she planned. Zach has lost his confidence and is beginning to demolecularize, but as I said, because of the pep talk Quagmire gives Zach about thinking positive, he manages to break Rita's spell. And then basically what happens after that is Goldar said that he shall proceed with phase 2 of their plan. I'm sorry, I'm just backtracking here a little bit, because a lot of what happens in this episode is kind of filler, like this second part, because it's basically, to me, it's mostly just flashbacks of previous episodes before this point. So, a lot of what happens until they get off the island, at the very least, is like filler kind of stuff. I just wanted to get that out of the way before I actually continued with the video. That's why I kind of backtracked. And then basically, what happens is after that, after Rita finds out that Zach escaped, after Zach escapes from being demolecularized, Quasimodo, the Quagmire is thanking him in a rhyme, saying that basically his pleasure and welcome back, but the key was inside. He tells Zach that the key was inside him, and then Zach said that, well, maybe, but they're still stuck on the island, which is kind of true. They're still stuck because they don't know how to get off. And basically what happens after that is, then it goes into a scene where Rita is in the palace. Like, she's not really mad that Zach escaped her illusion, because even though she said that, so Zach escaped, eh? Well, the others won't be so fortunate. And then basically what happens after that is, Goldar said that before long all will be lost for the Power Rangers and stuff, because he was going to be proceeding with phase 2. And then it goes back to where the Rangers are on the island of illusion, and then they're wondering how they can get off the island and how to get their power coins. Now here's the funny thing about the power coins and the communicators. Even though they weren't on them when they first arrived on the island of illusion, they will come back before they get off the island in this episode. I won't explain why until I get to that point, but I just thought I'd mention it ahead of time. I figured I'd mention it ahead of time to let you guys know. And then basically they were wondering if Quagmire can help them find the power coins and stuff. And then basically what happens is Quagmire says in a kind of limerick, he says that with his technique they might get home, but the coins they seek they must find on their own. And then basically what happens is after Quagmire leaves, Trini says that on their own, and then basically what happens is after that, they make, after Quagmire leaves, and after a little while, Billy said that his calculations indicate that a 90% probability that their coins are in one direction, like the opposite direction of where they are. So after that, Jason said that they should get started. And then Goldar's image as a illusion appears back up in the sky. He's like, "Yes, let's get started with an illusion for Kimberly's confusion." And then basically what happens is Kimberly says that no way, she doesn't believe it. And basically the illusion she's seeing is Bulk and Skull basically being nice. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but that's so hilarious. That's so hilarious. And then after she said that Bulk and Skull being nice, and she said that if Rita can make Bulk and Skull act like that, she can make them do anything. She can do anything, she can make anything happen. And then she starts to disappear. And then basically what happens is after that, they contact Quagmire again, and then Quagmire does this limerick where he says, "A toad may fight you to the marrow, but stay your course true as an arrow." And then after he disappears, Kimberly says that not the terror toad monster. That was so gross. She said that was so gross, and she doesn't think she wants to remember that. And basically what happens is after that, Tommy says that she's got to try. And then she says if she has to, and then it does this other flashback scene where back to episode 12, I believe it was, 12 or 11 of Power Rangers season 1, I'm not sure, but it was one of the 10 segments of episodes before the Green with Evil 5-part episode I did. It might have been episode 11 or 12. I think more or less it might have been 12. But she's thinking back to when she fought the Terror Toad monster, and then she's saying in the flashback that the toad was big and he was ugly. But she was the only one whose weapons could destroy the Terror Toad, so she just did what she had to do. And then she starts remolecularizing, like she starts turning back to from what she was disappearing to her original state. And then after that, one of Rita's illusions happens to Tommy, where he met his friends as putties, and he starts fighting them. And then basically after a while he says that there are too many putties and he can't win. And then basically what happens after that is, he said that after he starts fighting his friends who he thinks are putties, after a while he said that basically there are too many and he can't win. And then he starts doubting himself and he starts fading as well. And then basically Quagmire shows up and he tells Tommy to don't let Rita steer him wrong, think strong thoughts and he'll be strong. And then basically what happens after that is he's thinking back to I believe it's episode 25, the Life's a Masquerade episode, where the Rangers were fighting the Frankenstein monster before the costume party, and he was outside the youth center fighting the putties on his own. And he said that he was on his own and he didn't think he could win, but he hung in there. Well, he's saying that basically he managed to beat the putties and then he escapes Rita's illusion. And then basically what happens after that is, after Tommy escapes Rita's illusion, Rita's up in her palace and she's like, curse that Tommy! And then she does this incantation where she says, as one shall wind and rain attack, fade away, Billy and Trini, never to come back. And then it goes back into where the Rangers are on the island, and then Tommy basically says that, no, really, there was like a zillion putties coming after him, and he said that he wasn't afraid, and then Trini gets a little afraid where she said that she's afraid Rita might come after her next, and Jason said that's just what Trini wants, and they're trying to encourage her to remember what Quagmire said. And then she having this kind of flashback to when, because she's still got a fear of heights kind of thing. And then basically what happens is, after that, what basically happens is they contact Quagmire again, and then Quagmire basically says that Trini, in a limerick, he says, like, Trini had to conquer heights, although that was her greatest fight. And then she said, now her child do her best to pass this part of Rita's test. And then she's remembering, then it does a flashback to the second episode where she had to climb the mountain to get over a pier in order to save heights in order to save Billy, and then after that she manages to escape Rita's illusion, and then afterward Billy gets affected by Rita's magic, and he says that it's no use. Even all his scientific knowledge couldn't have gotten him out of this, and it failed. And that Jason says that just what Rita wants, and they're telling him to think positive. And then basically what happens is Trini tells Quagmire that Rita's after Billy, and then Quagmire does this limerick about that he senses a battle in a land of dreams where Billy fought a nightmare queen, which is like referencing the Peace, Love, and Woe episode of the 10 segment. And then Billy said that he remembers such a confrontation. She had the most unusual grip, but he finally acquired certain leverage to defeat her. And then after that, what happens is after Billy is remolecularized into his original state, they're all happy about that, and Jason said that's good, and maybe now they can find a way off the island. And then Goldar's image shows up in the sky, and he tells Jason that if you were a real leader, Jason, you would have saved your friends already. And then Jason said that Goldar's right. And then it goes into where Rita is on the is on her palace on the moon, and she's saying that Jason, leader of the Power Geeks, may my evil magic work on you most of all. And then basically what happens after that is he's saying that he should have found a way out, and they're telling him that that's just what Rita wants. And then he starts having this seeing this illusion about his friends disappearing, and then after he sees the illusion, he said that basically he starts getting upset with himself because he's telling himself that his friends were all counting on him and he let them all down. And then after that, basically what happens is Jason starts to demolecularize, and then Quagmire's voice, I don't know how, but somehow Quagmire's voice said that the side he knows his powers are great, he can win, just concentrate. And he said that he can. And then he tells Rita that she'll never win, and then it does this flashback to episode 4 where Jason had to fight King Sphinx, and he says that he remembers the battle against King Sphinx. It was looking pretty bad for a while, but he didn't give up. And then after that, he manages to escape Rita's illusion, and then Rita said that she's like, no, they've escaped all my illusions. And then afterward, the communicators and power coins show up. And then after that, basically what happens is after their power coins and communicators show back up, they're ecstatic about having them back. And then they said that they could have had, Trini said that they could have had these all along. And then Tommy inquires that each of them both had all of them had the ability to break Rita's spell. And then afterward, Rita said dummies, and then she, dummies! I just have to do everything myself. And then she starts shaking. Actually, what happens is after that, Zach said that all they needed was a little self-confidence. And then after that, Rita's like, dummies! I just have to do everything myself. And then an image of her shows up in the other dimension, and she's shaking the island. And the Rangers jump off the island and morph to their Ranger forms. And then basically what happens after that is, basically what happens after that is the Rangers, after they get off the island, they battle Mutitus and Lokar. And they manage to destroy Mutitus, but Lokar escapes. And then basically what happens is, after Lokar escapes, Jason says that they'll get Lokar next time. And then it goes into the scene where they're back in the youth center doing the dance competition, and then Zach's still having a little bit of self-doubt, but the Rangers are telling him that after everything they've been through, just go out there and have fun doing it and such. And then after that, Zach shows up on the dance floor, and then he does these dance moves, and then the Ranger, I think it's Trini that says that styling dance moves, and then Kimberly says she knows and wonders who the DJ is, and they look and see this like little person that's sort of reminiscent of Quasimodo or like Quagmire from the island they were on in the episode. And then basically afterward, Ernie goes to where the judges are, and then basically he said that the winner is Zach, because the judges pull up a 10-10-10, and then basically what happens is after that, he said, woo! And then he tells them, let's boogie, and and then they start dancing, and that's basically where this second part stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it today, just please give it the real best you guys can. And I will see you guys probably sometime tomorrow for the next video. So until then, guys, like I always tell you with this series, may the power protect you always.